It's funny. I think when I do a knife review, my gun guys are probably going, "Oh, dude, not another knife review. Come on, we need some gun reviews." And vice versa. I do a gun review and the knife guys are rolling their eyes going, "Please, man, hurry up." I'm hurrying. Hey, here's the Cold Steel catalog. Cool catalog. I still like it. I think he does a great job of presenting the product, taking some cool pictures of it. Generally good copy write-up on each knife. Gives you the specifics, gives you some ideas of that knife's POU. Great specifications given. No, I'm not going through the Cold Steel catalog right now. Just an introduction. Now, I've reviewed a lot of Cold Steel blades, haven't I? There's a lot out there. The ones that I really dig, I think I've already knocked reviews out. Actually, not always. There's some I really dig, and I haven't done the reviews. They're coming. Did a review on that one. Trailmaster. Actually, that's a Recon Scout and Sanmai 3. I haven't done that particular one. I did a Recon Scout, though. SK5, and now previously Carbon 5 steel. Great knife! But I've got a lot of requests for this knife. Cold Steel Recon 1. Man, I've got a lot of requests for that. Come on, man. Review that knife. I don't know if you remember way back when I visited Impact Guns last year, and all the dudes there were carrying their knives. Several of them had the AK-47. That's when I knocked out my initial tabletop on the Cold Steel AK-47. And they were good representations of dudes that like big blades. And weight for them really isn't an issue. You know, they're not in a tactical environment. Carrying a big blade might be a little bit on the heavy side. Not a big deal. There's that AK-47. It's not super heavy. 7.6 ounces though in the aluminum handled version, and 6.6 ounces in the G10 version. There you go. Cool knife. I like that better than I thought I would. Remember that guy had busted the tip on his? You might want to look up that video. Pretty funny. I was kind of shocked though at how much play that his knife had. That AK-47. There was a lot of slop side to side, up and down. Wasn't very impressed with that mechanism over time. So it makes me wonder how this Recon 1 is going to wear and tear. And actually, enough of the pictures. Let's look at it in real life. Where'd it go? Come here, Recon 1. There it is. Finally, in the Nutnfancy project, reviewing the Cold Steel Recon 1. I'm going to put this in the POU of tactical knife. No surprises there. Heavy duty tactical knife, truth be told. And they do brag about how strong this lock is. The Ultra Lock, very similar to Benchmade's Axis Lock. Someone said that it's on license production with Cold Steel from Benchmade. I probably don't doubt that. Looks just like it. Same principle in operation. I love the Axis Lock, by the way. I'll show you another one here in a second. But yeah, that's the POU. Big knife. And I don't speak for all users when I say that, you know, the 4-ounce general limitation on tactical blades, folding variety, is what I hear by. Some guys don't care. You know, they just want a very strong knife, folding or fixed blade, and if they have to take some weight to do it, they'll do it. I think this Recon 1 delivers in that respect. And I got to tell you, after carrying it around for several weeks, I'm digging it. That's right, I'm digging it. And it's not a lightweight. It's 6.4 ounces. So it well exceeds my arbitrary 4-ounce limitation on a folding tactical blade. But what have I always said? You know, if I get something in return, I'm generally willing to take upon a little bit of extra weight. And what I get with the Recon 1 is a bigger blade. 4 inches to be exact. That does exceed most other folding tactical knives. Not in the weight category, but just in overall, let me just say review. As I've reviewed them, that generally tends to be a larger blade size, the 4-inch size. Now, that's not to say there's other blades out there that aren't bigger. There are. But you get a very well-designed clip blade with the Recon 1. I dig that blade shape. I've said that before in other videos. I like the Bowie / clip design. I think it's a very useful, defensive, and utility shape. Can serve in either function adequately. Love it. Remember when I talked about the double-edged blades? I don't think this loses anything in deadliness in tactical use or emergency defensive use. Maybe you can't cut in both directions. You might have that, so that might be a slight disadvantage. But the advantage I gain in utility with that 4-inch hollow ground AUS 8 blade more than makes up for it. 8A to be exact. Love that blade shape. Covered in black Teflon, the Recon 1 blade is. They go on in their copy bragging about all the advantages of Teflon. In my experience, it pretty much rubs off in hard use. I haven't done it with this knife, but in other things, metal covered objects, so to speak, rubbed off. It hasn't been too durable. Theirs might be a little bit better. I don't mind it though. It's good looking, low reflections. That's a positive. If you're a troop out there in operations, you want a low reflective blade, no doubt. How's it come sharpness wise? Pretty sharp. Shaving sharp to be exact. Cold Steel does a very, very good job with a lot of their blades in this area. Very sharp out of the box. They are to be commended for this. Some don't. There are some blades that come to me and have come to you and you go, dude, what up? How come that doesn't have an edge on it? And one reason that can be so sharp, I'm going to use a Voyager for the pointer today, is because it's deeply hollow ground, goes up to just above mid-spine, so we have a nice gradual approach to the relief and then cutting edge. That makes a sharp blade, a good slicing blade. But it's not overly thin either, because the POU on this, even from Cold Steel, is going to be heavy-duty tactical use. So it's a 3.5 millimeter thickness, which is adequate, I think, for its POU, philosophy of use. Decent. You know, I'm not a big fan of that deployment stud. You know, it works. You get good traction on it, to be fair. Good traction for deployment. You got no problems with that. I just prefer a thumb stud. That's just a minor preference. And I don't know if I mentioned that. I have a CQC8 running around here somewhere I was going to show you. It went bye-bye on me, though. But that has a thumb disc as well, I think. And I think I semi-critiqued that as well. Given a choice, I prefer a thumb stud. That's just a minor quibble. Some guys like deploying axis locks and maybe these ultra locks by flicking it out and actuating the lock. I don't like that because it can rebound without you locking it first and come right back on your fingers. So I just like a conventional standard deployment, especially since most of my other knives deploy the same way. That's a training issue. If you deploy the same way, your muscle memory is used to it, and you won't have a problem or an issue getting it out in time. That takes us to the handle. That G10 handle, as a lot of you subscribers had told me, they're like, hey, that you're gonna, you know, I think I mentioned the SIG Arms Pterodactyl, how much I liked that textured G10 on it. And it might be the same exact material because these are highly textured G10 handles on the Cold Steel Recon 1. Love them. Love the traction it gives you. Very decent. That's probably one of my favorite handle materials right there. Love it. But it's not all peaches and cream. No jimping on the back side, nor is there any texturing on the upper side, where we probably need it most on a tactical knife, right? If we put this in emergency defensive use in a stab attack, you know, you better hold on tight. There's no thumb ramp there. There's no jimping. There's no traction whatsoever on the upper spine. So that's going to be a criticism I'm going to level against the Recon 1, especially in the POU. Tactical blade, you should have some good traction here, or some deep finger grooves or thumb ramps that prevents forward ingress onto the cutting edge. Call me crazy. Here's your axis lock, or your ultra lock as they call it. There's no surprises there. I love it. I think it locks up nice and tight. The blade thickness is not compromised with the axis lock, and I bring that up in an upcoming review. I may mention that on the Cold Steel Lawman. So it's got that, you know, the lock back function on there, and look at how much material they removed from the blade in order to accommodate the locking mechanism. It's a lot. Just a thought. So I dig that lockup. Here's the interior of the knife, and they could have done a much better job of skeletonizing the interior. Why? Because it's not skeletonized, like at all. Hello? Why? How hard is that to mill those steel liners out and maybe bring it down from 6.4 ounces to maybe 5.5? That would have been cool. And we don't sacrifice anything for strength. You know, you'll still maintain that torsional rigidity because of the steel liners. And a lot of guys like that. You know, they're like, hey, if I have to pry with this knife or if I have a twisting cut, I like those steel liners because they prevent any torsional stress in the pivot point. You know, that's arguable in my opinion because, again, this is a folding knife. I say if you're going to do some prying tasks or some really serious cutting tasks, bring along a fixed blade if you can. Of course, we can't always plan for every eventuality, and this just might be the only knife you have with you, so you have to suck it up. You can take the handle apart with the mini Torx screws. Always like that option in case I dunk it in salt water. Oh, onto the clip. Well, here's the good and the bad. The good is that it's blackened, so that's a subdued clip. I like that. The shape is fine. It retains well in pocket. I know that from my own testing. The bad is it's very low on the handle. That means a lot of the knife is going to be protruding from the pocket. Some guys like that. I generally do not, especially when I have a very grippy reed traction material on the handle. So in my pocket, I can go down, grasp it, and I have traction to retract the blade from its carry. I don't need a big chunk sticking out from pocket. Also, that shows the knife. You know, if you want to go concealed, which sometimes you will want to do, why have this big chunk sticking out? You know, isn't that just a dead giveaway? Yup, it is. On the upside, some guys like that because they can grasp right here to extract the blade from their pocket. I don't like it. You know what would really be cool? Hey, Cold Steel, hope you're listening. I know sometimes you do. Is move this blade up here. I'm sorry, give an option for the owner to mount this, I said blade, I meant clip. Mount the clip in 2 different locations. Now you can go side to side. They give you that provision, left to right carry. That's cool, like it. And they have it on the right side, i.e. it's a tip up carry configuration. That's all good. However, it'd be cool if they mounted it up here. I would like that. Got plenty of material to recess those screws. Just a thought. There's your lanyard hole, big enough for 550 cord. Decent. The speed of the deployment is fast. It comes out fast. My son Tactical Doodle has been carrying this too. He digs it. He likes a Recon 1 other than the weight. And I gotta be honest, you will know you're carrying this knife. This is not one of those lightweight, svelte little blades, kind of like the Cold Steel Large Voyager, previously reviewed on the Nutnfancy project. You carry this, you forget you have it on you. And guess what? Pretty much the same blade length. No, it's not steel lined. Who cares though? It's great emergency tactical blade, all around EDC blade. Love the Cold Steel Voyager. Great blade. Strong lock back, relatively strong. You carry that knife, you forget you have it on you. Recon 1, not so much. Your mileage may vary. Again, I like lightweight blades. Granted, I'm getting a very strong knife, good locking mechanism, full steel liners, a little bit too full, should be skeletonized, and a decent reach with that blade. So 6.5, 6.4 ounces it won't be a showstopper for a lot of dudes. I understand that. Back to the deployment speed, it's fast. I think I said that. How's the lockup? Super tight, up, down, side to side, no wiggle at all in the Cold Steel Recon 1. And I would expect as much. If a knife comes to me from the factory and it has some wiggle issues, not cool. Granted, you can tweak that pivot point, put some thread lock in there, and I've had to do that with various blades, as I've talked about in lots of other videos. But it should be tight. It should deploy fast, be razor sharp. It's freaking brand new, dude. It should be perfect out of the box. That's what I say. So that's all good. In fact, I'm actually fairly taken with the Recon 1, and I'm surprised by that because it is a chunk of metal. It's just a chunk to carry, 6.4 ounces. Back to the employment before I forget. I wonder how it's going to wear. I mentioned that AK-47, and I've seen actually 2 of them like that. A lot of wiggle in the mechanism. Will that develop over time on the Recon 1? Well, let me say this. If you are a Recon 1 Recon 1 owner and you have lots of use on your blade, let us know in the comments. Say, hey, yeah, mine's tight after a lot of work. Maybe not so much. Or even if it wiggles up and we can adjust it and keep, maintaining a tight lockup, then I'm happy with that. Just a thought. How do you like the looks of the Recon 1? I like it. I think it's a good looking blade. Notice, by the way, the scalloping out of the G10 handle for access to the thumb deployment disc. Decent, fast, good lockup. let's real quick before I end it show some competition against this one. Same weight category is the Benchmade Purdue Presidio Auto, previously reviewed on the Nutnfancy project. Great auto knife, strong auto knife, drop point blade. Believe it or not, and I criticized the weight of this knife. It's 5.6 ounces, but it's still lighter than the Recon 1. These are pretty much in different categories, truth be told. This is a very expensive knife, especially in that red coloration. It's different expense, so I understand that. But it's kind of the same POU under hard use. They're both hard use tactical blades. That's the point. How about the Spyderco Police G10? Weighs 5 ounces, so it's an ounce and a half lighter than the Recon 1. Different blade shape. Love the Police G10, that full flat ground VG10 blade. Love it. Great thumb ramp. Previously reviewed on the Nutnfancy project. Love that knife. Love it. Lighter than the Recon 1. And it probably has just a little bit more reach. Micro inch or so. Just a couple blades. Oh, wait. Here's a Spyderco Military. How's that compare? Definitely lighter. Like a lot lighter. Basically the same amount of reach. Same type of G10, although it's more aggressively textured on the Cold Steel Recon 1. And unfortunately, you're forced to do a tip-down carry on that Spyderco Military. Overall, though, for a hard-use, heavy-duty tactical blade, the Cold Steel Recon 1 delivers. It does. If you're willing to accept the higher carry weight, then I think you're going to be very pleased with this knife, especially for the cost. It will not break the bank. It's going to be about half the cost of that, actually the Spyderco Military. And again, I'm generalizing, you know, the Police G10 is going to be less than that. So for the money you're going to pay, I don't know, around 60-ish or so, it's a good value. You're going to love those G10 slabs on the side. Most of you will probably like that clip. And you're going to love the blade shape. The AUS-8A steel is decent. I've told you in many other videos, it holds an edge well, easy enough to sharpen, moderate rust resistance. It's a high value, kind of on the upper end quality, well, let me say medium quality stainless steel. Serves the purpose well. Oh, one thing about that clip that I'm going to criticize, and this is definitely a valid criticism, and Cold Steel, don't know why you insist on doing this, is they always put very aggressive texturing under the pocket clip. What this knife needs is a modification with probably JB weld. This whole portion here should be completely smooth, or very nearly so it can be inserted on the pocket without shredding your pocket. This aggressive G10 was going to do a number on your pocket edge. I'm pretty much speaking from experience. There's that modification I did on the Cold Steel Large Voyager, showing exactly what I'm talking about. JB weld, sanded, and then painted. Guess what? The Cold Steel Recon 1 pretty much needs the same modification. On the good side, it's going to hold in your pocket tight, but don't expect this G10, aggressively textured G10, to be kind to your pocket edge. It just won't be. Overall, though, I like it. Look for my Nutnfancy likability scale, always subject to change as I use it and abuse it. Cold Steel Recon 1, hard use, tactical blade, high value, not too shabby. Nutnfancy, thanks for the support, the good ratings, and all you do for me. I sure appreciate it. I also apologize I can't get to all the messages. I'll try. Peace out.